There are ancient words that were never meant to reach your ears. Not because they were dangerous to you, but because they were powerful for you. A prayer once whispered in secret, a psalm so transformative that it threatened everything built on control, lack, and silence. This isn't folklore, this is a spiritual echo that refused to die. Long ago, among sacred scrolls and burning temples, there existed a verse, unlike any other, that didn't beg for mercy or ask for survival. It commanded abundance. It declared riches. It awakened something divine inside those who dared to speak it. But it was hidden, torn out, erased from holy texts. Not because it was false, but because it worked. This was the psalm that made poor men leaders, silent women powerful, and the forgotten remembered. Its words were keys, not to golden vaults made by men, but to invisible stores of wealth woven into the universe itself. The kind of wealth not counted in coins, but in opportunities, breakthroughs, and inner certainty. A psalm so alive that even burned fragments could still create miracles. And yet, this prayer was silenced. Its sounds chased underground. The powerful feared what would happen if the masses discovered that lack is not sacred. It's a lie. That wealth isn't a sin. It's a birthright. They feared that once people spoke this psalm, they'd no longer kneel to systems of scarcity. They would rise. What you are about to hear isn't just history. It's a resurrection. This is the revival of what was hidden. The forbidden lines. The words that reshape reality, not through effort, but through energetic command. You didn't find this psalm by accident. It found you. It wasn't the wealth that scared them. It was the awakening. The moment a soul realizes that it holds power over its reality, everything begins to shift. The forbidden psalm was never just a prayer. It was a mirror, a tool, a trigger. And when spoken with conviction, it broke invisible chains. That was the true danger. Not the words themselves, but what those words could unlock. This psalm, unlike others, did not beg for divine favor. It declared favor. It did not plead for daily bread. It commanded overflowing tables. It wasn't written for kings or prophets. It was written for anyone willing to believe. And that made it uncontrollable, uncontainable, unfit for systems built on hierarchy and spiritual dependence. Those who ruled by keeping others small feared the ripple. What if the servant saw themselves as divine? What if the forgotten realized they were chosen? What if the man in rags stood up and called himself wealthy, and heaven answered? That would shatter the illusion. And illusions were all they had. So the psalm was removed, erased from parchment, yes, but not from the universe. Its rhythm still pulsed in the desert wind, in the stones beneath temple ruins, in the memory of those who dared to listen in silence. You see, true power cannot be destroyed, only delayed. Its disappearance was never about theology. It was about control. Because wealth, when claimed with sacred certainty, doesn't just change your pocket. It changes your posture. You walk differently. You speak differently. You become a living contradiction to every story of limitation they ever told you. And so it was buried. But the ground could not hold it. Because words, when born of truth, don't die. They echo. And that echo has finally reached you. Words are not just sounds. They are carriers of intention, vibration, and invisible architecture. When spoken with belief, they become more than expressions. They become commands. Joseph Murphy taught that the subconscious mind responds not to logic, but to feeling. And feeling is vibration. This hidden psalm was built exactly on that principle. Each line of the forbidden prayer was designed to awaken something dormant inside the speaker. The words didn't ask for wealth, they vibrated at the frequency of wealth. They aligned the speaker with abundance, the same way a tuning fork aligns with a musical note. You weren't just saying the prayer, you were becoming it. The universe, as described in ancient spiritual laws, responds not to need, but to resonance. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are in harmony with. That's why this psalm had to be spoken from a true heart, not with doubt or desperation, but with inner certainty. It's not the sound that opens the treasure, it's the frequency behind it. Joseph Murphy emphasized repetition with emotion, speaking words not as ritual, but as creative power. The hidden psalm operates the same way. Each declaration activates a layer of the subconscious, dissolving inner resistance and building a magnetic field of receiving. This isn't magic, it's law, and laws work for anyone aligned with them. So when the psalm says, "Let things multiply wherever I touch," it's not metaphor, it's instruction. Speak it, feel it, believe it, and the energy within you reshapes the world around you. This is the spiritual code the ancient ones left behind, a pattern of vibration hidden in sacred words. And now it has returned to your voice. Joseph Murphy didn't invent the idea that words create, he revealed it. Across cultures and centuries, mystics, prophets, and sages all echoed the same truth. Spoken words, when backed by belief, shape reality. Murphy simply gave it language modern minds could grasp and hearts could test for themselves. He taught that the subconscious mind is a fertile soil. Whatever you plant in it, fear or faith, scarcity or wealth, will grow. The key? Repetition, emotion, and clarity. When you repeat a phrase with emotional conviction, the subconscious accepts it as fact. And once accepted, it moves heaven and earth to fulfill it. The hidden psalm does exactly that. Each verse is a coded affirmation, designed not for the logical brain, but for the creative depths of the mind. Wherever I walk, the ground is blessed. That's not a wish, it's a mental imprint. And repeated daily, it becomes a living truth in the subconscious, which then commands reality to mirror it. Murphy also spoke of the sleep technique, impressing ideas into the subconscious right before drifting into sleep, when the mind is most open. Imagine reciting the hidden psalm at that threshold. No resistance, no mental filters, only pure absorption. That's when words turn to fire. That's when the prayer becomes law. And perhaps that's why the ancient sages whispered it under the stars, just before rest. Not out of superstition, but because they understood rhythm. They knew timing. They knew that the universe speaks not just in sounds, but in alignment. Murphy decoded that alignment. The hidden psalm uses it. There are certain truths that only reach those who are ready. And so, in sacred stories, angels were never just messengers. They were thresholds, spiritual checkpoints. The ancient narrative tells of an angel, not guarding gold or treasure, but a single psalm, a sequence of words so potent that it had to be protected. But from whom? Not from thieves, from the unbelieving. This angel wasn't a being of wings and light, but a force of discernment, a vibrational filter. It sought out hearts free from fear, minds untangled from doubt, and spirits bold enough to claim the wealth encoded in words. If you heard the psalm before your spirit was ready, it would sound like fantasy. But if your heart was open, it would sound like truth remembered. Guardianship like this isn't about restriction, it's about preparation. The angel didn't hide the psalm to keep it secret. It kept it safe, so that when it finally reached someone like you, it would ignite instead of confuse. This wasn't about religion. It was about readiness, a sacred intelligence watching over divine timing. And perhaps that angel still whispers, not in thunder, but in the quiet tug in your chest as you hear these words, in the deep sense that you've known this psalm before, in another time, another form. That recognition is the angel's voice, a reminder that you are no longer on the outside. You've been chosen to hear and to speak, because once spoken, this psalm doesn't return empty. It moves, it works, it opens. And only those aligned in heart, those chosen by resonance, carry it forward. You are not reciting a ritual. You are receiving a key. The angel has passed it into your hands. Most prayers ask. This one declares. And that is precisely what made it dangerous. While the world taught people to bow, this psalm taught them to stand. It did not request blessings. It commanded them to appear. Not with arrogance, but with spiritual authority. Authority born from the understanding that we are not separated from the divine, but made in its likeness. The hidden psalm is structured like a royal decree. Its tone is not emotional pleading. It is energetic certainty. Let great abundance grow wherever I walk. That's not a suggestion. It's a law being spoken into motion. The speaker doesn't hope. The speaker knows. And in spiritual law, knowing is what causes reality to shift. Joseph Murphy taught that your word is your wand, that your voice, fused with belief, rewrites the script of your life. This prayer follows that exact principle. Each line reshapes your self-image, your inner expectation, and therefore the outcome. You are not asking the universe to remember you. You are telling it that you remember who you are. And that's what disturbed the gatekeepers of old. The moment the poor discovered they were heirs to divine plenty, the illusion of control crumbled. This wasn't rebellion. It was realignment. The hidden psalm didn't start revolutions. It ended inner prisons. It dissolved the spiritual ceilings built by systems that fed on scarcity. To speak this prayer is to rise, to command, not from ego, but from essence, to declare, I lack nothing, and watch the universe organize itself around that truth. This is not a formula, it is a fire. And it doesn't wait for permission. They didn't come from palaces or temples. They were ordinary people, some hungry, some drowning in debt, some invisible to the world. But something in them listened when the old words were spoken. And when they repeated the hidden psalm, something shifted, not just around them, but within them. That shift became the doorway to miracles. There's a story of a man who had nothing but silence at his dinner table, no job, no food. But he declared, wherever my voice is heard, great wealth awakens. Within days, a long-lost client reached out with an offer that erased years of lack. Was it luck? Or did his voice, charged with belief, send a ripple that changed reality's course? Another woman, crushed under bills, began speaking the words each morning. Let great abundance grow wherever I walk. Soon, clients appeared without advertising. Opportunities flowed without her chasing. The money came. But more than that, her fear vanished. She was no longer a victim of scarcity. She had become a vessel of overflow. The pattern repeated. People who had been forgotten, by systems, by family, even by themselves, were remembered by the universe. Their declarations acted like tuning forks, aligning them with unseen currents of provision. The psalm didn't give them power. It revealed the power they already carried. And this is why the psalm was feared. Not because it caused chaos, but because it created independence. Because those who used it stopped relying on the external and began drawing from the internal. They became authors of their own story. Wealth was no longer a chase. it became a natural consequence of alignment. The miracle was never in the paper, it was in the voice. Spoken with faith, these ancient lines became living codes. And when repeated with consistency, they rewrote destinies. There are moments when a truth meets you, not because you're searching, but because you're ready. This hidden psalm, erased from sacred books, protected by silence, guarded by time, has returned to you for a reason. Not to inspire curiosity, but to awaken remembrance. Because deep down, some part of you always knew. Wealth was never something to chase. It was something to unlock. This river of gold, sung of in secret, never dried up. It was flowing all along, around you, beneath you, within you. The words you've heard in this prayer didn't create that river. They aligned you to it. They turned your inner compass toward abundance. And now, what once felt distant begins to feel natural. The timing is sacred. You didn't stumble upon this psalm. It arrived because your spirit has reached a point of readiness. Scarcity no longer satisfies. Lack no longer feels familiar. And now, the echo of this forbidden decree reaches your ears like a melody you once knew in another life, a key you once held. What you declare from this moment forward won't be wishful thinking. It will be spiritual remembering. You are not calling something new into your life. You are calling back what was always meant for you, but delayed by doubt, fear, and silence. Now, the silence is broken. The angel has passed the key. The decree is yours. This psalm has survived fire, censorship, and time. It lives now in your voice. Every time you speak it, the sea of wealth opens again, not just for you, but for those who will follow your light. This was never just a prayer. It was an inheritance, and it's now in your hands.